I never thought they should have traded this guy in the first place, but they did to the White Sox. And now he's become one of the best pitchers in baseball. And the Cubs have an opportunity to right a wrong. Would Dylan Cease come back to the Cubs? Yeah, where he was drafted. I think he would. And somewhere in the back of his mind, I think he knows he'd look good. And that Cubby Blue, we're going to talk about him. How about Cody Bellinger? Same agent. Two comments that were interesting. Bellinger being sought after by a team that would really shake things up if they got him. And Jed Hoyer talks about the Cubs' off-season strategy. What do they need? What are they going to try to be aggressive to get? All that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell. All of you guys are welcome, even you Cardinals fans. If you're wondering what we're up to, I'm going to tell you right now. So let's get this party started. Hey, everybody, Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball channel, and the offseason is here, and it's time to start talking about potential targets. Now, if the Cubs added an ace to the rotation and it was Dylan Cease, then they would have added the pitcher that I believe will be the most sought-after pitcher unless the Tigers decide to trade a two-time Cy Young Award winner in Skubal. So we'll find out. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I do know that Dylan Cease is a free agent, and his agent is Scott Boras. And as he tries to find a new home, his agent talked to Marquis, talked to Bruce Levine about, kind of what it would look like this offseason. And basically, Boras was like, he's dominant at Wrigley Field. Everybody knows how dominant he is at Wrigley Field. I wasn't actually offhand. I wasn't that aware of it. I mean, I know he's pitched well. But I always felt like this was a deal that I wish the Cubs would not have made. They traded him to the White Sox for Jose Quintana. I remember one of the Cubs organizational people telling me, we just traded a guy that's better than the guy we got, plus another guy. And Quintana. Now the Cubs are trying to go get basically back-to-back to the World Series, and they needed another arm, and they get Quintana. I thought Quintana pitched well, but Dylan Cease is ace material. A couple of years ago, you saw the best that he could be. He throws a ton of innings, so he's got durability, a bunch of strikeouts, and the Cubs, like the pitching program with the Cubs, has made pretty much everyone that they've gotten better. And you start to look at the rotation with Dylan Cease, and you're like, hey, look, if Dylan Cease would be the ace of the Cubs staff, and you got Justin Steele healthy behind him, and you got Cade Horton, and you got Jamison Tyone, who really won me over at the end of the year, the way that he was kind of a bulldog for the Cubs down the stretch, Matthew Boyd, Colin Ray, some other guys that maybe they develop out of the system. I mean, you want to go 8 deep, you'd feel pretty good about what we're looking at right now with this rotation. And that kind of leads me to the second thing that I want to get into, and that's Jed Hoyer and kind of his discussions on what to look for this offseason. But before we go there, I do want to tell you this, that AveD, Mick Nation, is alive and well, and I want you guys to go right there, hit the QR code, and be a part of it. Right now, we got these hats. I'm going to wear it rest of the show. Boom, there it is. Everybody's like, he doesn't have his hat on. Now I do. You can have one of these. Slide in the comment section. $25 includes shipping. All I'm doing is trying to get the money back if you want one. I mean, it's not a money-making scheme. I just want you to look good for the holidays. Or you can win one at AveD. Go there. Play the games. It's all free. We give away weekly cash prizes, and then also we give away some swag. So this is the first of some other stuff that we got coming here soon. And I like mine. I mean, it's a Richardson 112 hat. It fits really well on my head, and I think it looks good too. I love the logo. Kind of, old school. Love that old school, like I call this one This Week in Baseball type logo because it looks like that. But anyway, opportunity to get that. All right, now let me go back to talking about the Cubs. Jed Hoyer said that the Cubs are going to be active this offseason. My first thought was, please be active this offseason. Be active and aggressive like you guys were last year. Now, I don't know how the Kyle Tucker trade is going to turn out long term. It could be an enormous failure to have given up Cam Smith, to have given up Isak Paredes, Hayden Wisniewski, the players that you gave up to get those guys, the money that you took to send Bellinger to the Yankees, sent him there with $5 million, and he had a better year because he stayed healthy. And New York is a left-hander's paradise, but he had a better year offensively than Kyle Tucker, who was injured. But they both had great seasons, right? What are the Cubs going to do this offseason? Well, if it starts with maybe signing Dylan Cease, I'd feel great about that. Jed Hoyer was like, we're going to try to be proactive all over the place. Maybe we'll make some deals. And I'm thinking whether you're talking about a deal like it took to get Tucker, or maybe a Drew Pomeranz trade, which was like a small minor league deal, turned out to be a brilliant move. You sign a guy. Well, Keller was just a guy floating out there. They sign him. He ends up having a fantastic season. You develop guys within your system, but the Cubs are going to have to rebuild the pitching, and that's pretty much what he said. He was like, we're going to be pretty active on the pitching side, and they feel pretty good about what they got position players wise, right? I think part of the position player wise is that there's just not a lot of movement that you can do. You're pretty much set with what you got unless you make some kind of a deal, right? But Ian Happ has a no trade clause. He's not moving anywhere. Pete Armstrong, looks like one of the best young players in baseball. They're not getting rid of him. And then Seiya Suzuki, another guy with a no trade clause. And then you got Owen Casey coming from the minor leagues. I hope Owen Casey puts up a big fight to play a lot of time in right field. And then you got Matt Shaw at third. Maybe that's a spot that you would look at and go, hey, we can go get a third baseman and maybe put him in a Willie Castro type of utility role. Dansby Swanson's, locked in long-term. Could you move Nico Horner? I mean, I think you could get some value for him. That's a spot where you have replacements for him, but you don't want to give him up. And then, Michael Busch is, I think, right on the verge of stardom. Catcher's a place where you could go make some moves. Adley Rutschman of Baltimore, now that the Orioles have, other catchers, would be a guy that I would target, but it's going to be mostly pitching. That's kind of a look at where you're at right now. And it sounded like Jed Hoyer was talking pitching, and I understand that. Plus, they never draft pitching. You go back and look at these drafts, and it's like they're aggressive on the position players, but they don't take a lot of pitching, so that means you're going to have to go out and buy pitching. Now, another thing that Scott Boras talked about was Cody Bellinger. And hey, what do you think about Bellinger and the Cubs? Like, could he come back? I think we are fine with him not coming back. No offense. And maybe I don't speak for all of you guys, but the first year was really good. Second year wasn't terrible. He's kind of a soft contact guy. That doesn't bother me as much as some of you analytic people, but he was fine at Yankee Stadium. Actually, it fit him really well. It's a hitter's paradise, and left-handers dominate in there, and he did a really good job. Now, the interesting thing is that, I wouldn't shut the door on a possibility of a reunion, but how weird would that be? Hey, we traded you last year plus $5 million, and now we're going to bring you back again. Now, I just don't see the fit there, but the Mets are interested in him. So if the Mets go and sign him, does that mean the Yankees are going to go in on Tucker? I think there's a possibility there. I think the Yankees would love to have another star in their outfield. And if anybody's going to upend the Dodgers, who are spending, billions on their payroll, it's the Yankees, right? So that's a possibility. But the Mets, so if the Mets sign Bellinger, does that mean that they're not signing the polar bear, Pete Alonso? And he opted out of his contract pretty fast. Where would he end up? Going to be interesting to see. I don't think the Cubs are going to have a play for him just because they have a first baseman, unless somebody picked him up to be a DH. But he's one of those guys that hits a ton of home runs, and I think eventually will be a DH. And what's interesting is that the National League didn't have a DH, until a few years ago, and it really benefits a guy like Pete Alonso. So if you already had a first baseman, you could still get him. That makes his value go up. But, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Again, every day you're going to get some hints, and then all of a sudden that first big signing is going to happen. This is how it always is. And then the dominoes are going to fall. So Dylan Cease may be that first big signing, because I think there's a lot of teams that would love to have Dylan Cease in their rotation. But the Cubs have money available. They didn't re-sign Shota. If they don't bring Tucker back, that should give them enough payroll to make some significant moves. And if they're going to win next year, I think they're going to have to make some moves. I don't think the roster, the way that it sits right now, is good enough for them to win the World Series. And I think you guys would agree on that as well. All right, look, please like and subscribe. Be part of the Cubs baseball channel. Thank you all for being here, making this part of your daily Cubs routine. And we'll do it again tomorrow. But, and the last thing I want to say, I want to forget this. Everybody wants to have the perfect Christmas. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. And that is go to the mountains of Sevierville in the Smoky Mountains, Sevierville, Tennessee. We appreciate them for being a part of what we do every day. But it is beautiful there this time of year. Harvest Fest, all the Christmas lights. There's constant Christmas events going on. Bears walking down the streets. It's a really fun place. And a lot of people from Chicago, I think of all the visitors, the fourth most come from Chicagoland. So I want to remind you guys that. And who knows, maybe you'll run into a talking bear, eagle, or fish.
When you head to the Smoky Mountains, it's only natural to visit Sevierville.
Even we had to check it out.
And we've been here our whole lives.
Experience the adventure of a lifetime.
I'm king of the world.
Even you can get a bird's eye view of the Smokies.
You're going down, Billy. Whoa.
Your Smokies start here.